We've all been there, scrolling through social media, completely mesmerized by this perfectly curated life of someone who seems to have it all figured out. The girl who left the city to live on a farm and bake bread from scratch, the couple traveling the world in their renovated van, waking up to breathtaking sunrises, the entrepreneur making passive income while lounging in a 5-star hotel. It feels like they've cracked some secret code, some code that we're missing. That feeling, that pull towards something better, it's not actually about freedom at all. We're obsessed with escaping. We think if we just quit our jobs, move to another country, or stop playing the game, we'll finally be free. But what if I told you that no matter where you go, that feeling of being trapped might follow you? Because the truth is, most of us aren't chasing freedom at all. We're just chasing the illusion of it.
Son, what the hell are you running from?
You know, I could ask you the same question, except I already know the answer.
So why do we feel this way? Why do we see these lifestyles and immediately think that's what's been missing? The answer goes deeper than social media. It's rooted in how we've been taught to live. For most of human history, we were free. No alarm clocks, no bills, no corporate ladder to climb, just survival, movement, and community. But today, we wake up to emails, commutes, deadlines, and debt. And when you zoom out, the shift happened fast. We've only been living like this for a tiny fraction of human existence. For thousands of years, our daily lives were simple, local, deeply connected to our environment and our communities. Now, in just a few generations, we've expected to adapt to rigid schedules, constant productivity, and endless comparison. And with the internet, we're exposed to millions of other people's lives, expectations, and choices, something our brains were never designed to handle. No wonder we're overwhelmed. No wonder we crave escape.
The thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
We're addicted to the idea of freedom. Every time we book a trip, quit a job, or start something new, our brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that fuels cravings and addictions.
Quitting your job with no backup plan is the best decision you can ever make.
One day while the light is glowing, I'll be in my cave.
But here's the catch. Dopamine isn't designed to keep us satisfied. It rewards the pursuit, not the outcome. Which is why once the newness wears off, we find ourselves feeling stuck again, chasing the next big thing, the next escape, the next solution that will finally make us feel free. But there's another piece to this puzzle: inhibition and suppression. We don't just crave freedom because we're overworked or overstimulated. We crave it because in a lot of ways, we've learned to suppress our own instincts. And the more we suppress, the more we swing in the opposite direction. The more we ignore our own desires, the more we copy what seems to be working for somebody else. This is why we're so drawn to black and white thinking. The more time you've felt stuck and unheard, it's easy to believe that you need to go in the total opposite direction. When we've spent years suppressing our real wants, ignoring our instincts, and following rules we didn't even realize we were following, it makes sense that we'd look for something else to give us the answer, to show us what happiness is supposed to look like. And social media, it delivers that answer on a silver platter. It doesn't just offer an escape, it offers a total identity shift. All we need to do is follow a new blueprint, one that promises happiness, control, or purpose. And the best part, someone else has already done it for us. But here's where it gets dangerous. Our brains were evolved to chase real rewards. Building something, moving forward, solving problems. But social media hijacks this system, tricking us into feeling like we've accomplished something just by watching it happen to somebody else. It's why we keep scrolling instead of taking action, because we've already got the dopamine hit we were looking for. And this is what keeps us trapped. Instead of using that motivation to actually improve our lives, we burn it all on passively consuming someone else's. The more we watch, the more it feels like we're almost there, like we just need to learn one more thing, see one more example, find one more secret. But the real secret, we never get closer. We just keep watching.
24 years old, I don't have a job, and last month I made $114,000 without taking off my clothes and without showing pictures of my feet. And before you call BS, here's a look at some of my weekly commission payouts.
Freedom is van life. It's moving to a quiet farm. It's working for yourself. It's having a husband provide for you. It's partying across the world. It's quitting everything and starting over. There's no shortage of dream lifestyles being sold to us as the ultimate escape, and they're all saying the same thing. If you just lived this way, you'd finally feel free. But what they don't tell you is that these escapes aren't actually freedom at all. They're just different versions of the same trap. So let's break down the 3 biggest social media trends of freedom we've been sold recently and explore why none of them really work the way that we think they do. And just to be clear, I'm not here to judge anyone for feeling attracted to these lifestyles. In fact, at some point in my life, I've been attracted to them as well. And there's no shame in wanting something different or trying new things. This is just more about understanding why we feel the pull and what might be happening under the surface.
The road.
So where you going?
I haven't decided yet. You can go anywhere.
Where are you going? I told you, we're going nowhere!
Of all the freedom lifestyles, van life might be one of the most seductive. No rent, no boss, no alarm clocks, just open roads, endless adventure, and waking up to breathtaking landscapes. It taps into something deep in us, the craving for nature, movement, novelty, and the idea that if we could just escape the constraints of modern life, we'd finally feel free. And for certain people, this is especially appealing. You feel stuck in a routine, exhausted by structure, or even disconnected from purpose. The idea of packing up and leaving it all behind seems like the perfect reset. On social media, van life is framed as the answer to modern burnout. Influencers show slow mornings, making coffee in their perfectly renovated tiny homes, journaling by the ocean, effortlessly moving from place to place. It's marketed as a way to reclaim your time, to stop wasting your life behind a desk and actually start living. And the message is clear. If you're not happy, maybe you just need to sell everything and get a van.
Howdy there. So, my name is Finn, with 2 N's, kind of like a shark fin, and I live in a van now.
But what those videos don't show you is that most of those influencers are making money by selling you things that you don't need.
I've been living in a van for 3 years, and these are a few of the items we couldn't live without. The links below, and with the holiday season coming up, these would make the perfect gifts for your favorite nomad.
The passive, peaceful, unstructured lifestyle they promote, in reality, many of them are staring at a screen just as much as you are, editing, filming, negotiating brand deals, keeping up with the algorithms to fund their so-called free lifestyle. And when they're not, they're dealing with all the things their aesthetic Instagram posts never mention, constantly fixing vehicles, scrambling to find places to shower, feeling isolated without a stable community. This lifestyle can work for some people, but it comes with realities that social media conveniently leaves out. Van repairs. One breakdown can wipe out your entire savings.
Van life actually sucks sometimes. Recently, our less than a year-old van started having some seriously concerning issues, and we're thinking we might need a new engine.
Shower and bathrooms are a struggle, constantly relying on gyms, public restrooms, or not showering at all. Finding a safe place to park. Many towns crack down on people sleeping in vehicles, making it hard to find legal overnight spots.
Absolutely not enjoying van life. I don't know if I can disperse camp in Connecticut. I was trying to be all stealthy. I found this random ass fucking parking lot in the dark.
And it might not actually be that cheap. Gas, maintenance, and food expenses add up fast. And without a stable income, many end up more stressed than they were before. Loneliness and lack of routine can lead to burnout. Many van lifers struggle with mental health from the lack of stability and social interaction.
So I don't really think anybody talks about the realities of living in a van a lot of the time.
So our van broke down, and we're in the middle of the desert, and a monsoon is hitting.
The van's not the only thing breaking down.
You're not going to believe this, but the $50,000 van was probably the worst financial decision I have ever made in my entire life.
Babe, can you scoot over? Excuse me. 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 Excuse me.
Like me personally, when I first saw this concept, I was like, oh my gosh, we love to travel, we love to hike, we should totally get a van and go travel around the United States and see all the national parks. But when I actually think about what my mental health would be like living in a van with one person, no offense to my husband, I would be miserable and my mental health would probably be really bad. I need structure, I need routine, and I need space. Like, maybe I'll do it for a week or 2, but I want to come back home. I don't want to be living like that all the time. Many TikTok and YouTube creators have gone viral sharing their real struggles of van life, from freezing temperatures in the winter to the exhaustion of never having a stable home. And some ex-influencers have admitted that they were miserable, but kept posting happy content because their income depended on selling the dream. And more people are quietly leaving van life. Without doing it in a viral way to announce that they failed, they just kind of exit. While some people chase freedom, abandoning stability altogether, others take the opposite approach. Enter the trad wife movement, where freedom isn't about escape, but it's about embracing traditional roles and expectations. Let's break it down.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning, Claire.
I would like you all to welcome our newest citizen to Stepford, Joanna.
Good morning, Joanna.
In a world that feels chaotic, unpredictable, and overwhelming, stepping back into a simpler life does have an undeniable appeal. The trad wife movement taps into a deep human desire for structure, certainty, and belonging. It tells women that instead of climbing the corporate ladder or juggling a million responsibilities, they can find true fulfillment by embracing traditional gender roles, staying home, raising children, and serving their husbands. For some, it's about nostalgia, escaping away from modern pressures into some aesthetic version of the past. For others, it's a reaction to burnout, a way to opt out of trying to do it all and take a step back and focus on family, home, and femininity. And just like those van life influencers, trad wife influencers know exactly how to sell this dream. The perfect housewife with the spotless home, homemade sourdough bread, and a husband who provides while she stays at home in soft dresses, baking pies, and tending to children. It is framed as a way for feminine to reclaim their true role, feel more feminine, and live a more stress-free life. And the message is clear. If you're unhappy, maybe it's because you're trying too hard to be independent. Maybe the answer isn't to chase ambition, but to lean back into submission.
I'm here to make a clarification video because of the big controversy going around about the term trad wife. If you are not familiar with the term trad wife, it is a woman who chooses to live a more traditional life with ultra-traditional gender roles. No trad wife TikTokers are saying every woman's place is in their home. We as individuals are just choosing to be homemakers. That's all.
Trad wife, sourdough, homestead, crunchy, eats meat, butter, wants kids, chickens, tinfoil, tallow, content.
But here's what they don't tell you is that trad wife influencers aren't really living the fairy tale lifestyle that they're selling you. Many of them are making money the same way any other influencer does, through brand deals, sponsorships, and content creation. They might preach submission and anti-feminism, but in reality, they're still entrepreneurs, profiting off their image of the perfect wife. And while their social media feed shows peaceful, slow mornings and idyllic family life, the reality behind the scenes is much more complicated. They're not showing the isolation, the financial dependence, or the struggles of being locked into a role that doesn't leave room for personal freedom. So here are some of the realities that social media once again conveniently leaves out. Financial dependence is risky. Being fully reliant on a husband's income means losing control over your personal financial security.
I'm an ex-trad wife. The first thing I do every morning is check to see if my child support's been paid yet.
Traditional gender roles can feel restrictive. Many women who choose this path find themselves later feeling unfulfilled and trapped.
I'm an ex-trad wife. I do not ever, under any circumstances, ever go into the grocery store before checking my bank account to make sure that I have money.
Social pressure and judgment. Once someone brands themselves as a trad wife, stepping out of that role even slightly can bring backlash from the very audience they built. The reality of domestic labor. The aesthetic of homemaking looks peaceful online, but in reality, it's endless work with no paycheck, no breaks, and no guarantees. Over time, we've seen more women come forward, exposing that the trad wife fantasy is not as it seems.
Trad wife to single mom in your 40s pipeline, yes, that's being exposed. All down my For You page, we got these women that are 40, maybe 50 years old, talking about how they were the perfect trad wife. They baked bread, they cleaned the house, they had unmedicated births, they stayed home and reared the kids, and their man still left them for somebody that was 15 years younger than them.
Now moving on to our third social media trend. If van life sells the idea of escaping responsibility and trad wife culture sells the idea of escaping independence, the entrepreneurship and side hustle movement sells the ultimate promise: total control over your time, money, and life.
You smell that? What is that?
What?
What's that smell?
A cologne?
No.
Opportunity.
No. Money.
Oh, okay.
I smell money.
Okay.
No boss, no 9 to 5, just financial freedom, passive income, and doing whatever you want whenever. And for a lot of people, this dream feels like the perfect escape. Maybe you hate your job. Maybe you're exhausted from working just to survive. Maybe you feel stuck, like you're wasting your potential. The idea of breaking free from traditional work and being your own boss isn't just appealing, It feels like the answer to everything that's wrong with modern life. Social media is flooded with self-made entrepreneurs that claim to have cracked the code to financial independence. They show off their flexible schedules, their Stripe deposits, their luxury vacations, and caption it with something like, "This could be you if you just stop making excuses and put in the work."
The best advice for women in business: get your fucking ass up and work. It seems like nobody wants to work these days.
That's so true.
Now our coaching company is doing $50,000 a day, which you can see here.
It's framed as a mindset shift, that the only thing standing between you and your total freedom is your hustle. That if you're still stuck in a 9-to-5, it's because you just haven't bet on yourself yet. But here's what they won't tell you. These self-made millionaires aren't really making money the way that they claim. They're making it by selling things to you. They're not living off passive income or their online businesses. You know that course they push, the coaching program, the blueprint to success? That's their real business, and they aren't teaching you how to escape the system. They're recruiting you into theirs. And while they preach time freedom and escaping the grind, most of them are working harder than ever, constantly selling, creating, marketing their own version of success. They didn't escape work, they just rebranded it.
Okay, am I the only one who's noticed that all these business coaches, their only business is business coaching? I don't see a lot of business coaches who own and operate a business outside of that.
So what are some of the harsh realities that social media leaves out of this dream life? Passive income isn't actually passive. Most passive income streams take years to build and still require maintenance, marketing, and customer service. Success stories are survivorship bias. You hear about the ones who made it, but for every success, there are thousands who tried and failed. Being your own boss can sometimes mean working 24/7. When you're self-employed, there's no paid time off, no benefits, and no guaranteed income. And I'll say this as someone who has owned a small business, that rings 100% true for me. I worked harder at my small business as an entrepreneur than I ever did working in healthcare. The line stops with you if something goes wrong, and you are on call 24/7 basically. Obviously, you hope to have good management, but at the end of the day, the problems all come back to you.
People that say that they want to leave their 9-to-5 jobs and be an entrepreneur, they don't actually want to do any of those things. A lot of these people want to plop their little phone down like this and put some text on a screen with some motivation and telling people that they know how to help people quit their 9-to-5 jobs when they've never done that.
And the rise of quiet quitting and anti-hustle content has shown that people are burnt out of trying to monetize everything. So it looks like this financial freedom isn't as effortless as they'd like you to believe.
I just want to say hustle culture is going to be the downfall of this generation, because there is no reason why I should have to work 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 different jobs to provide one roof over my head, but then I don't even get to enjoy the roof or the fruits of my labor because I have to work all these jobs just to keep up with it. Something's got to give.
We've been sold so many different versions of freedom, as we've seen in these last examples, and broken down why that's not really what we're looking for. So maybe the answer isn't in reinventing ourselves, working harder, or running away from our problems. Maybe there's a little bit of freedom that we can create right here where we are.
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, Nia, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.
Sure, changing your job, traveling, buying a farm, these things can all bring happiness. But I think it's important for us to slow down and figure out what we really like doing, truly, before we just go chasing someone else's dream or someone else's pretty picture on Instagram. So start small, pay attention to what really lights you up and what you really enjoy doing. And don't let social media content be your comparison joy. Those small things that can really bring joy and change, they're not gonna be content worthy, so people aren't gonna post them. But just remember, it's the small daily gestures that can really make us feel at home and have more freedom in our daily lives. So maybe the real question isn't, how do I escape my life? Maybe it's, how do I give myself the space and time to figure out what I actually want? Were there any other social media trends or influencers that caught your attention that you thought was selling the key to happiness or total freedom? Comment below and let me know if there's any other influencers or lifestyles that we should expose next.